Lancets that they get to get the blood.
Right.
Okay? And if you're on insulin, they give you the insulin, but you have to buy the needle to take the insulin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's all well and good. But if you're a druggie, you can go to a safe center, get a needle, and put illegal drugs in your body under a clean, supervised area.
So if Oshawa were to open a safe injection site, you could just take your medicines down there, use their needles, and you wouldn't have to pay for them then, Mike?
That's what you're basically forcing the person to do, and especially seniors.
Exactly, especially those that are on a fixed income. And we like to talk about our free health care that we have in Canada, but it's not free. It's what is it, $2,600 or something out of your taxes per person. I read recently something about that. So it's not free. We pay for it one way or another. But
not only that, seniors, pay a percentage of $100 per year, percentage for their off their drug plans.
Right.
So that's taken off as soon as they buy any drugs.
Have you had the shingles vaccine?
No, I haven't.
My dad's supposed to get that one, and it's a 2-part shot.
Yep.
And it's over $200 a shot.
Yep. And he's got to pay it.
He's got to pay it.
It's not covered.
It's not covered, and that's ridiculous. It should be covered.
Exactly.
More so than a safe injection site or whatever for illegal drugs. I totally agree with what you're saying.
And they're spending money for these safe injection sites. Mm-hmm. Why don't they spend the money for rehabilitation and awareness? But no, they'll spend it on concrete and clean rooms and needles that they walk in and use.
Yep.
And no different than the methadone clinics, which now apparently some of the people that go in to get their treatments, they don't have to do the treatment in the methadone clinic.
Right.
They pick up the methadone.
Yeah.
They walk out in the back parking lot, sell it to a druggie, and away they go.
Yep.
I mean, who are we helping? You're not helping the seniors. You're not helping people that need the help. All you're doing is throwing money at them.
You're enabling the users.
Exactly.
We failed by not teaching them properly in the first place and keeping them off those drugs. We failed there. And so now, rather than attack the actual problem, we're trying to deal with what we've created.
Yep.
And that's the wrong way to go about it. They say, though, that they need these sites in order to get the people in so that they can find out who is willing and able to look for treatments and to get off the drugs. But that's not what it is. They're just going there to use.
It reminds me of an old saying my dad used to say, "Don't eat that, Elmer. That's horseshit." Because that is. That's just total BS.
Absolutely. Absolutely, I agree.
From what I understand, a drug addict will say just about anything in order to get
his
next fix.
Yep.
Sure.
So,
well, it's almost like the politicians right now. They'll say anything in order to get their next fix and then their next kick at the cat and 4-year term.
Well, especially if they're in Oshawa.
Exactly.
Okay.
Speaking of politicians.
Yes.
You have a couple lined up for your
folks,
shows.
If you've got a pen and pencil there, a piece of paper, next Thursday, we have Kathy Clark coming on, so get some questions and things you want to give her on our emails.
And Kathy's running for Regional Council in Ward 4.
Ward 4. Then John Gray is on the 6th of September.
And he's running for City Council in Ward 5?
Yep.
Right.
So if you got any questions or things, and then Tito DiPietri is on the 13th of September.
And he's running for Regional Council in Ward 2.
Ward 2, that's right. So, folks, if you...
I got them all right. Do I get a gold star?
No, you're you can get a participation ribbon.
Yeah.
Oh,
We got
blue one.
we got
Okay,
an
we
email
get an
here, too.
email here, guys.
Josh writes in, free health care, my ass. What is it that our incompetent Canadians do not get? We can give all this free medical shit to addicts, but we will not treat certain conditions or diseases that people have who pay for all that free shit. It's all fucked up. Well, Josh, you got a certain logic to it.
Yep.
The idea here is, of course, those that can pay. Those that can't, get it free. So on the backs of all of us hardworking Canadians that end up footing the bill for all those that don't work, they thank us. You hear all the time the government sitting there saying that, our CPP or pension plan will be out of money in before some of us get to they've pushed it back 67 or 70 now for senior for benefits
I believe it's 70.
Yeah, so 70.
Yeah.
Oh, the guy that did that, got his pension at 47, by the way, the one that brought that forward. But we have to fight for that, and they say it's going to run out of money, but you never hear them say that, well, welfare is going to run out of money.
Oh, definitely not.
It's never going to.
And their government pensions will never run out of money.
No.
And you know the amazing thing with welfare, okay, there's no incentive to bring them back into the work field. In fact, I know of families where the kids now, it's a way of life, the kids now are going on welfare.
Well,
Right.
You know?
on my show on Monday night, Mike, I happened to bring up a staggering statistic. There's a Muslim living here in Canada, came here recently. He's got 4 wives, 22 children. Gets $360,000 a year in welfare benefits.
What?
Unbelievable.
1 man, 4 wives, 22 children, $360,000 a year in welfare benefits.
That's just
So we're talking about $30,000 a month.
crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Unbelievable.
Tell me how there's any logic in that at all.
No logic whatsoever.
But see, first of all, having more than 1 wife in Canada is illegal.
Right.
It's polygamy.
Yep.
Okay. But he's allowed to do it because his religion says so.
Because
Okay.
Wow.
Each of these wives can have children. He can maintain all these whole thing. It's sickening.
It is absolutely sickening.
They're the first ones to complain about racism and being outed and all that stuff. Yet they have no problem coming to our country and taking our benefits.
Yep.
Wow.
They knock everything. They don't like our churches. They don't like our religions. They don't support.
They don't like
all
our
of these-
history,
Yeah.
our cultures.
Well,
right?
that's.
Right.
I was going to get to that in a
Our
minute.
language.
But yeah,
Exactly.
And yet they don't mind our benefits, and they come here in droves, and do it illegally. And Trudeau sits there and goes, "You can't change language in our country." Yet he's always trying to do that. Manpower to people power, and mankind to people kind, and the stupidity that comes out of his mouth. Illegal is illegal.
Yep.
We have laws.
Yep.
Changing the name to irregulars
Yeah.
doesn't change what they are.
Nope.
They're illegal immigrants, and they are rightfully not allowed. The reason they're coming across where they are is because if they went across at a legitimate border crossing, they'd be refused into the country.
Exactly.
They can't fly into the country because same thing. They have to go through a legitimate Canada Border Services check, and they wouldn't be allowed in the country.
Right.
So my question is why are we not, if we know that this is a normal place to cross, why we don't have Canada Border Services standing there and turning them the hell around and sending them back to the U.S.
Or build a wall.
Or just dig a deeper ditch. We got another email here from Susan. Susan writes that this is so fucked up. Wake up, idiots who vote. Vote for politicians who will change that shit. Damn liberals. Well, it's more than just have politicians. We have to change culture. You can't have somebody that you call out the prime minister and he starts screaming that you're a racist because you want answers and you want your prime minister to look after Canadians before looking after illegals. And yet, $10.5 million to Omar thing. He's letting ISIS fighters come in for rehabilitation. He's opening up the door to criminals. Criminals in other countries are coming here.
He's not even giving money to help our soldiers that come back from all these places that he's sending them to.
But they're asking too much.
Yeah.
But he's sending billions of dollars out of our country. Yeah. So, it's scary, raw, and that. And then this new thing, and I don't know, are people that blinded and so much sheep now that they can't think? John A. Macdonald, founding father of Canada, first prime minister in Canada, okay? Oh, well, he, indigenous people and all of that stuff. I get that. I understand the argument. But let's cast ourselves back 150 frickin' years, people. Society, culture, all of that stuff was different, okay? Yeah, in today's standards, it doesn't fit. But back then, it was. So
why do they never talk about how the different native tribes fought against each other? They some were warriors. I mean, that's what they were all about, and they just went in and they would wipe out entire villages.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about that. We only talk about what the white man has done. Well, I'm not going to apologize for the fact that I was born a white man. I'm just not.
It's a two-way street.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's suck and blow, and you can't have it both ways.
You can't.
And pulling down John A. Macdonald out of Victoria and desecrating John A. Macdonald statues around Canada. I'm sorry. That is more anti-Canadian than sitting there saying that, he was extremist and, wiping out.
It doesn't change anything. Well, it doesn't give the Indians or natives or indigenous peoples, whatever the hell the politically correct term is anymore, it doesn't give those people from 150 years ago any change.
No.
It doesn't. If they're really upset about it, just send their $10 bills my way.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously.
Exactly.
Because he's on the back of the $10 bill.
Okay, guys, we've got a little bit of a commercial break. We've got to pay some bills.
So we're that time already?
It's that time. So we'll be right back. You're listening to Oshawa Today right here on Reality Radio 101.
Is all you gotta be. Dream dreams no one else can see.
Do you have a roof that needs repair, replacement, or an upgrade? Well, if you do, please call the Upper Canada Roofing Company today at 905-447-9182. The Upper Canada Roofing Company has over 40 years of experience in helping home and business owners just like you repair, replace, or restore your cedar, slate, asphalt, or copper roof. Restorations are the Upper Canada Roofing Company's specialty. Quality and professional craftsmanship that you can be proud of. Please call Brent today at the Upper Canada Roofing Company at 905-447-9182. That's 905-447-9182. The Upper Canada Roofing Company, the official roof repair and restoration company of Reality Radio 101. The following program may contain adult language and mature subject matter and does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Reality Radio 101. its advertisers and sponsors, or its listening audience. Listener discretion is strongly advised. Welcome back to Oshawa Today with your host, Mike Kalenko, right here on Reality Radio 101. To contact Mike right now by telephone, dial 905-725-1907. Toll free 1-866-905-7325. Send Mike an email right now. Our email address is instudio101@gmail.com.
It's a little more than you can bear.
And now, right back to your host of Oshawa Today, Mike Kalenko.
Welcome back, everybody. Everything is all topsy-turvy. We got one of the most important things, and I wish Joel was here because it's dear to his heart. Council votes down the review of fire chief's work. In other words, they're saying, they put their heads in the sand and saying everything is fine and dandy the way it is. You know, and we all know it isn't.
I watched part of the web stream from that special council meeting, and they spent a lot of time talking about the $44,000 sole source review of the fire chiefs report. Yeah, the peer review.
Yeah.
Peer review.
And actually, I think for once, council might have got it right, because the major concern that they had was that they were going to sole source the guy who wrote the fire master plan 6 years ago to peer review the plan and the chief's response to the plan. Well, it's pretty hard to expect somebody to give you an unbiased view of their own work.
Impartial, yeah.
So I think that council actually did the right thing in this particular instance. However,
That was more through luck.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not going to argue that point. The question now becomes, what are they going to do? Why did staff only give them the one option, which was to spend $44,000 to sole source the same guy that got $200,000 for the original study? And so the question now goes back to our staff. And why did you only give them one opportunity? And what now are you going to come back with? So I kind of understand what you're saying, Mike, but at the same time, I think we actually made a good decision for a change at the city of Oshawa.
Well, that's to say it was more good luck than
Absolutely.
good planning.
Absolutely.
But, and, you know, the thing that really bothers me, not just this issue, but other issues, is why is the city sole sourcing everything that they do? You know, like tenders and...
Because if they sole source it, they can make sure it goes to somebody that's going to write what they want.
Exactly.
And
we have evidence of that.
We do. But the worst part about this particular situation with the fire master plan and the chief's response to it is the IAFF, the International Firefighters Association, who represents our Oshawa firefighters, has already offered to do a study for the downtown, a risk assessment.
Yes.
They've offered to do it and pay all of the costs. And in order for them to do a proper job of it, they asked the city to provide them with some data. And the city immediately said, no, if you want that information, you need to go through the Freedom of Information process. And that's bullshit. These firefighters put their lives on the line for us every single day. Every shift that they work, they don't know whether or not it could be their last shift. And in order for them to provide us with a service and keep us safe in our community, the city should have said, absolutely, what can we give you? What information do you need? How can we help you? But that's where this city has gone so far backwards. Everything has to be done to their liking, to their agenda. And is it staff's agenda or council's agenda? We're not even sure of that anymore because it's such a hogwash there. But we need to start working with these groups that we have. I mean, certainly we pay our firefighters well. Absolutely.
Nobody disputes that.
Absolutely. We pay them well, but they do a heck of a job. And when they come to the city and say, we want to do something that's going to, A, make their jobs safer, B, make our community safer, and C, they're going to pay for it rather than it coming out of the taxpayers' pockets, the city should just be gushing and say, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, not in Oshawa. Not in Oshawa.
You know, and that not only happens with firefighters, it happens with the police. It happens with a lot of the first responders. Mm-hmm. Okay, when there's a problem, where everybody's running away from that problem, they're running in to help it, to fix it.
Exactly.
And you can't give them the tools to help fix it. There's something wrong with you.
But our current administration, elected council and staff, our current administration don't want to hear from anybody else.
That's another reason we have to get rid of council.
Absolutely. And this is the time. I mean, we have an election coming up in October, and this is the time for us to make some wholesale changes. But we just don't seem to have people who are invested in our own city.
Yep.
Yeah, and we've talked about that time and time again about it being a cottage city
Yep.
or whatever you want to call it, and everybody who commutes. But people have got to start to take an interest.
But the ones that are vested in it run into roadblocks all the time, too.
Exactly.
Well, yeah.
You know, like you've got the fire services right now that have run into a roadblock.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
the city has finally provided the information to the firefighters because they followed the FOI process. Okay? So the problem now is, did they give them all of the information that they needed?
Well,
because we already know from personal experience how the city deals with the FOI process. And today they were supposed to release 5,000 pages of documents.
and how many did they release?
98
19.
pages.
Oh, 98.
98 pages. They released a redacted version of AG 1309. And that's all that they have released. And their press release, which didn't hit the city's website until after 6 o'clock tonight, their press release said that they have amassed more than 1,100 staff hours in this project already. And out of that 1,100 hours, which I figure conservatively, the minimum kind of city salary is about $30 an hour. So they've spent over $30,000, given us 98 pages, which we already had, but that's beside the point. Gave us 98 pages and have no idea when they're going to release the rest of the documents. None.
But see, here's the crux of the whole issue, is this was in response to an FOI that I filed. And the city at no time has reached out to me and sit there and say, we'll give you an advance of the information that we're going to release publicly in response to your
That's right.
FOI.
Yeah.
So
We even
trying
asked for an advance copy, and we were told no.
They circumvent the rules. They then put a self-imposed deadline, which they then can't keep.
Right.
And at the end of it, it just continues. And the clerk's office, who's responsible for all of this, put out a press release, about a month and a half ago?
July 16th, I think it was.
Yeah, so a month ago. Saying how, they were going to be best practices, turn a new page, better accountability and transparency. This was going to be the mantra of the city of Oshawa and the clerk's department, especially related to FOIs. And yet they didn't ever reach out to me to sit there and say, in response to your FOI, we're going to give you an advance of this information that then we will release publicly. But they did say that they were going to do this to IPC. Now, they failed, of course, to meet their self-imposed deadline. So what's that tell you? They're playing games. It's again, they don't want this to come out prior to the election.
As I posted today on Facebook, do I now call them lying bastards or incompetent asses? Because, as you said, it was their own self-imposed deadline. They're the ones that told the IPC, we need 120 days in order to do this. There's 5,000 pages. It's going to take us this length of time, blah, blah, blah. They had it all figured out, and they asked for 120 days. Then they turned around and published their first July statement, which I call an admission of guilt.
Yeah, of course.
They totally threw staff under the bus and said that it was all staff's fault, that staff has not been providing the information that they're supposed to be, that they're not following the proper rules and procedures. And so they've admitted that they've gamed the system for the 5 years that we've been at this.
Yeah.
They admitted that they did it, and then they said, like you said, they're going to change their ways, and everything's going to be out as of today, the 5,000 pages, and they screwed up. They couldn't even meet their own guidelines.
Yeah.
And where's our city council?
Well, and where's the mayor?
Why is the mayor not just flipping right out and saying, guys, you promised us, as in council, and the citizens of Oshawa, 5,000 pages of documents. Where the hell are they? And those 1,100 person hours, staff hours that we've spent, were they all regular wage or were they at overtime rate?
Oh, they're probably overtime rate.
That's what I'm guessing, too. Yeah. So the mayor should be saying, like, why am I spending this money and you guys are not producing?
Because the mayor is...
Delegation of authority. They can spend anything they want, and they don't have to go before council for approval.
But he's also not screaming because they're protecting his ass right now, too.
Oh, absolutely. But people have got to realize that this is another stone through his little glass wall. Accountability and transparency at the city of Oshawa does not exist under John Henry. And this just goes to prove that it doesn't exist.
And
it was smoke and mirrors back in July when they made their initial statement, and now they're trying to cover it all up. They're not even going to give us a date as to when they're going to produce the rest of the records.
No, and he goes a step further. Here he is running for regional chair. If you think it's bad now, imagine what it would be if he gets position regional chair. You think that there's secrecy and in camera and this kind of double-handed nonsense. It's going to get worse. And, Henry's up there touting his record. He was at Bikes on Bond on the weekend.
Yep.
Again, claiming that this was a great event for Oshawa, and the motorcycling community has always been welcomed here in Oshawa, and they're celebrating their 8th year.
How welcome was the HHR?
Wait, let's go. Let's review for a second so that everybody knows. I brought the event here in 2011. 8 years ago.
18 minus 11 is...
Yeah.
It's so we were...
Yeah.
Oh, their first year was the HHR.
Yeah.
But then they didn't have Bikes on Bond the year after or the year after that. Bikes on Bond officially started only 5 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they skipped a year, too, because they
got rained out twice.
Yeah, they didn't get their act together the one time.
Yeah.
And had to cancel the whole thing.
Anyway, here he is sitting, talking about his record and talking about how he the city of Oshawa supports the motorcycling community and all that stuff. And it's a crock of shit. They tried to sue my ass. I brought the original event. And they saw the value in it, but they weren't going to give me credit for it. They couldn't have that.
No.
And not only that, but here's the asinine thing about this. Bikes on Bond, say what you want, and I think it's a great event, partly because I was the one that kind of
initiated it.
Planted the seed. But here the HHR has 2,000 to 3,000 motorcycles take part in it every single year.
Yep.
Bikes on Bond can never, ever claim that they've had that kind of turnout ever.
Never will.
Well, I was downtown last weekend for for Bikes on Bond. Well, I wasn't there for that particularly, but I was there at the same time and partook in a little bit of the festivities. I saw Mayor Henry on stage.
Right, glad-handed and sitting there.
I waited for him to come off stage so that I could shake his hand and wish him a happy retirement. But the one thing that really impressed me about being downtown for Bikes on Bond were the number of HHR patches and decals that I saw. Mm-hmm. And the number of people who are from your biking community, your riders community, but they are HHR supporters.
Oh, yeah.
And I understand that, a lot of them, the camaraderie and whatnot of going to an event like Bikes and Bond. I understand that. But the number of HHR badges and stuff that were there, it was really good to see.
Yeah, it does me proud every time.
Absolutely.
And the other side of all of this, and I joke about it, but they call it Bikes on Bond, but it hasn't been on Bond for 3 years.
No.
That's right.
It's where I wanted to bring it from day one. Yeah. I wanted actually Simcoe from King all the way up to the Armory, and I wanted part of Bond, and I wanted to include the community. That was the idea, and that's what we have in Port Hope now.
Yes.
And we had a great turnout. It was a downpour like nobody's ever can remember on that particular Saturday that we ran the HHR in Oshawa. And we came in, and the sun came out, and it was a fantastic day. We had live music. We had a motorcycle stunt show. We had all of that, and, it did well in Oshawa. Unfortunately, Bob Chapman, Nancy Diamond, Roger Balma, and John Henry were out there glad-handing and taking advantage of the opportunity to be seen publicly, but they were the ones that were behind the lawsuit, ultimately denying the in-kind support that is needed for this event to happen, because there is no registration fees. This is a free event. I make no money on it. It is out there for the purpose of, supporting the troops, and we don't have a registration fee. So, not only that, but the city of Oshawa got over $100,000 in free advertising.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. No question.
Yep.
Between the Toronto Sun running quarter-page ads and Q107 running 30-second spots for almost 6 weeks.
Right.
That was in excess of $100,000 of free advertising for the city of Oshawa and the downtown core. And these guys could not see the light at the end of the tunnel.
No, because they don't believe in that kind of advertising. They only believe in the spin stuff that they put out.
Look at the hockey.
Yeah.
Look at the what's the cup? The
Memorial Cup.
Okay. They continually fall short of what really can happen for Oshawa. And we got an email here from the trader. Trader writes in 1,100 hours, and all they can do is edit AG 1309. What is that? Maybe 100 pages? They have 4,900 more to go. Not only is this going to be a huge expense to the city, most of us won't be alive to see the end of it. Yeah, that's probably true, Rob. You're getting long in the tooth and short. It's time we stop shaking the tree and get the chainsaw out. The pissed off trader. Thanks, Rob.
He's right.
It.
I mean, What else more can you do?
Well, I commented earlier today on Facebook about this scenario, and I don't care if it takes until the next municipal election to get all this material. We're going to get it. We've been pushing for 5 years now, and if it takes us another 4, you know what? We said we're not going to back down. We're not going to stop until it's done.
Quite frankly, we've talked about this. The police investigation, I think, will ferret out what we need, because although they're talking about 5,000 pages, which is maybe a banker's box and a half. Russ Dye said he had 26 boxes. Police services now say they have 26 boxes plus like 9 binders or something like that.
George had the binders. The police have never said whether or not they have the binders.
But long story short is that, they're getting their stuff. It's unredacted. And if we find stuff, even in the redacted material, and we'll go through the 5,000 pages very thoroughly. If we find something in there, we're certainly going to point the police in the same direction. They may see the attachments and everything else. The city has given us more than we ever imagined. I mean, the F drive came up through emails and stuff like that, and that's what led us down that road. And they're incompetent, and it's a good thing that they're so incompetent, because they provide us with the clues to look where we got to look.
They have no idea what they've already given us.
Well, yeah,
they really don't.
No, well, you never know with the police services. It's questionable. Yeah. Bonnie writes in, let's face it, John Henry and his cronies will never ever admit that the HHR was responsible for starting bikes on bond. You know it, I know it, and most of Oshawanians know it. The blood-sucking vermin need to be voted out and go to the home.
How do you really feel, Bonnie?
Yeah, trouble is if they go to the home, we're still paying for them to go to the home.
Yeah, the truth of the matter is that the lawsuit hurt the HHR.
Sure.
It diminished its credibility, and it took me a long time to get a community, to buy back into it. Port Hope has, and they're reaping the rewards of it.
But Oshawa even tried to screw that on you.
Yeah, they tried.
They tried, and fortunately, there was only one, maybe two councillors in Port Hope that bought into that rhetoric.
Yeah.
But Oshawa actually spent like they put an effort into trying to ruin that opportunity in Port Hope.
Oh, sure.
And that's really stupid.
But it's not John Henry. If you really want to throw yourself back at this, John Henry is, a feeble, weak-kneed piece of shit. But he was led. He was a puppet.
Sure.
He was led by Bauma and Diamond and Chapman. And, to this day, I believe Chapman ran a CPEC on me through the police services, which is illegal. He had no reason to. He had no investigation going. He wasn't a police officer at the time, so he had to have somebody else. But I have it from more than one counselor that he then went in to each one of the counselors' offices and suggested I was tied to criminal activity, suggested that, supporting this was supporting criminal activity, that the money earned through this event was supporting criminal activity, and that they could not support it, and that's why it was voted down.
Meanwhile, the city of Oshawa is involved in a criminal investigation for fraud by the DRPS.
Yeah, well, more than fraud.
Yeah.
Obstruction,
yes.
Justice,
yes.
And on it goes.
Initially for fraud, and it goes and grows from there, for sure.
We got another email. Andy writes in, let's hope police services do not sweep this investigation under the rug due to Henry's influence on the board. Well, Henry doesn't have an influence on the board anymore. We would all like to see someone go to jail on this. And unfortunately, Henry doesn't have influence on the board per se. He's no longer serving on the police services board. But you have to understand, up until just a few months ago, Roger Anderson was the chair of the police services board, and he's ex-DRPS, and he's a dirty cop. Chapman stepped out of police services just ahead of a IA investigation, and he...
actually just behind an IA investigation and just before the report was dropped.
So it's very close, yeah.
Yeah.
But dirty cop.
Yep.
And you got Henry, who was there. He wouldn't remove himself from the board. He was responsible for directing the assault on two citizens in City Hall. I don't care. The video shows it clearly that the security guard is looking directly at Henry and looking for confirmation that he is to deal with Bill Steele, and he nods, he points at Bill Steele. He's looking to the chair of the mayor's chair during the course of it, and that's when the scuffle ensues. This was after Dan Hammond was grabbed and thrown to the ground by 3 undercover police. Again,
and Carter also has connections with the DRPS.
Yes.
Because when he ran his campaign in 2014, the guy who headed up his sign campaign was former DRPS chief Mike Ewells. So he has a close personal connection with the former chief of the DRPS, which means that he still has ties with active members at DRPS. So, like, there's so many connections there. The interim city solicitor is a former lawyer for the DRPS.
Yeah,
so like, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's that 6 degrees of separation. We can't even get 1 degree.
Exactly.
And that's what hurts the credibility of this city. Yeah. Hurts the credibility of the police services. Hurts the credibility of, why invest in a community, in a town, in a city like us? And this is for all our politicians going forward, okay? One of the things that Jeff and I were talking about before the show is there isn't not a single candidate that has come out with a definable platform.
Right?
No, they haven't.
There's not a single one. They haven't talked about what they want to do, what they see, what their plans are, how they're going to move that agenda forward in council. Nothing. They're not talking about development, which is a concern.
Yeah, and what's worse is the citizens aren't asking for it. They're not demanding it.
But I am right here, right now.
Well, yeah.
But I mean, this is the thing. When I ran for mayor, 4 years ago, I had a platform publicly put out on the air in February.
Yeah.
I've had 2 pamphlets drop through my mailbox, but nobody's knocked on my door yet either.
No.
Yeah, and does either one of those pamphlets have a legitimate platform on it?
To be honest, I didn't read them because I'd rather actually have the candidate there and talk to me.
Yeah.
Right.
I put them right in the recycling bin because to me that's a piece of paper.
Yeah, and that's
I can't look somebody in the face and read their facial expressions. Look at their eyes to see whether they're actually looking me straight in the face when they're talking to me.
Well, I wear sunglasses. I can't look you straight in the face ever.
Well, I wouldn't look me straight in the face either. That's why I don't have any mirrors. But no.
Yeah, I know.
A piece of paper.
Especially on a sunny day.
Yeah. Well, you get the glare off his forehead. Nobody can see.
Stop it. I got one good hair left there.
Turn that stupid fan on. You get a better feel for somebody when they're actually looking you in the eye, and you can put them on the spot with a question.
Absolutely.
And you can see how they're going to react under pressure, or are they just reading off of a prepared blurb that says, "Yeah, I'm Joe Blow, and I'm going to do this, this, and this." Well, what about this issue? And you're going to see their reactions. You're going to get a feel for how they're going to react when somebody in council does the same thing to one of their proposals.
Well, one of the other things that I don't see out of any of these candidates is they aren't current on the issues that are happening here in Oshawa.
Oh, true. Very true.
Many
of them are still living in the past. Some of them by a dozen or 20 years in the past. And think that those are still the issues in Oshawa. And in some cases, those issues still do exist. Like, let's not kid ourselves. Some of those things have never been solved, have never been fixed. But they're not really up to date, like you said, on what's really going on right now.
But, I mean, Oshawa Council, to be fair, has manipulated agendas and
Sure.
how they present things so that the public can't understand it. It's not put in layman's terms. You got your item and it's the fourth thing of the 6th section of the frickin' report. Instead
they're leading you down the garden path.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
another show. That's usually
I
on
know,
Mondays
that's usually
from 7
before
to
us,
8.
But that's what council's doing with every issue.
Yep.
And every request and every FOI. They're taking it off in so many different directions that Everybody is confused, including themselves. And that's how we're getting some of our answers.
And we talked about that from the start of the show when we talked about people need to get interested. People need to get involved. And we can't just sit there and allow them to continue to do that. And that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
The general population of Oshawa just doesn't care.
No.
They don't take an interest. And
No. And one of the biggest issues I've got is what's going on in the North End with all that building and stuff up there.
Yeah.
Simcoe Street, nobody's even touched it yet.
No.
And I don't care whether it's a regional road or a public road,
Yep.
or a municipal road, or a provincial road. That should have been addressed before those houses were allowed to be built.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Well,
Same thing with Winchester
but I
and
look-
Conlon.
But I look at that as a safety issue. You know, quite frankly, I look at that when you put that many homes up there, and although they just put the new fire station up there, it still impacts the safety and response times. Because if it was 4 lanes or 5 lanes with a common left, you know, traffic would have a better opportunity to pull over to the shoulders or to the right so that the fire truck or emergency people can get through. Right now, what they continue to do is a threat to the safety of the people that they're trying to serve,
Does that
as well as the motorists that are utilizing that.
does that fire hall have an ambulance paramedic station?
No, it doesn't. The
Where's
ambulance
where's
paramedics come out of the hospital.
There isn't even the one at Ritson Road anymore?
No.
No, there's
Okay,
one-
so
there's
again,
one at Bloor and Wilson.
Yeah.
you're putting somebody's life at risk because
I don't think there's a paramedic station in the North End anymore.
Wilson Road south of Taunton.
Wilson on Taunton?
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, on the
Okay.
west
Yeah.
side.
That's that new one. Yeah. That's
Okay,
so
but
that
again, you're still putting
That's still.
absolutely.
because Taunton Road is a long way from Winchester Road.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree.
that's just a Band-Aid. That's all that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, like I said, one of the things that I see down in the States, and I see it more and more in development, and this is where progressive development has got to start happening, is as the developers come in, before they can develop the properties, they have to upgrade the infrastructure, and they have to upgrade the roads, being a key part of that. Put the roads in, then put your 3,300 people in. Not put your 3,300 3,300 homes in, and then after 4 or 5 years, when they start getting the capacity, we got to upgrade the road.
It's
That's
the same
what
thing with
development
schools.
That's what development fees should be for anyway.
Yeah, it's the same thing with schools, Lou. Is there should be public schools in there, and I know it's totally different. You're dealing with the school board and everything else. That all has to be before those first houses go in. All that has to be designed and built at the same time.
At least, yeah,
Right.
at the very least.
Give you an example with schools. There's a school, just been brand new school built east of Wilson, around the Olive Avenue area. They just built a huge school. I went by the other day. They've got 8 portables in there now.
Go to St. Clair High School. At some point in time over there, they have over 50 portables.
I mean, if you're building a school, build the school.
Well, exactly. But the thing is there isn't even a school going in this area because the school board doesn't want to put a school in there
So they're building,
until they find out what the population is.
What the demographics are. We got an email from Howard. Howard writes in, "Hey, Mike, good luck with AutoFest this coming weekend. Now my opinion. Henry is a dishonest, corrupt politician. He has never stood up for what is right in this city unless it was to make him and his office look good. A feel-good news story, if you will. He always showed fake concern. The money is too good for the job." Well, he's fake concern. He doesn't even pull that off well. He sits there and tries to tout, the advances in that for Oshawa. Oshawa is suffering. I'm sorry. Yes, we have become a cottage town, and yes, we have development, which is what's bringing people in, and they're sitting there riding the shoulders of that.
But it's a cottage town because they're all going to Toronto because there's no industry here because nobody's brought anything in.
Yeah, Pidwerbecki and all of that sit there. Oh, look at how many new homes. Look at the development and all that. It's glorious here in Oshawa. But the truth of the matter is that where they are, yeah, we're got land and that, they're going to run into some serious problems once they expand into 407. Columbus is next, and they haven't got the infrastructure in place for it. But going further than that, you gotta stop sitting there dwelling on that. Look at your downtown core. Janosh is in trouble again. They're looking for more money.
Before we go on, we should pay some bills. Yeah, as I was trying to tell you to wake up over there. You know,
I didn't hear the
you've
music.
been
I can
listening.
do that one for
You've
you.
been listening to Oshawa today on Reality Radio 101.
Hitched a ride to a peaceful side of town.
Do you have a roof that needs repair, replacement, or an upgrade? Well, if you do, please call the Upper Canada Roofing Company today at 905-447-9182. The Upper Canada Roofing Company has over 40 years of experience in helping home and business owners just like you repair, replace, or restore your cedar, slate, asphalt, or copper roof. Restorations are the Upper Canada Roofing Company's specialty. Quality and professional craftsmanship that you can be proud of. Please call Brent today at the Upper Canada Roofing Company at 905-447-9182. That's 905-447-9182. The Upper Canada Roofing Company, the official roof repair and restoration company of Reality Radio 101. Welcome back to Oshawa today with your host, Mike Kalenko, right here on Reality Radio 101. To get on board, send Mike an email right now. Our email address is instudio101@gmail.com. And now, right back to your host of Oshawa today, Mike Kalenko.
Welcome back, everybody. Anyway, just
We should
reading
leave
here.
we should leave the mics on in between.
Yeah.
You know, because some of the conversations we have in
That would be
between
funny.
are as good as the ones we have on air.
Yeah, just like the bloopers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We are bloopers.
Yep. Anyway, remember last week we talked about the incinerator having
Oh, yes.
Oh yes,
Exceedance?
having its exceedance. I
Yeah.
thought I read somewhere or heard somewhere that it passed.
just testing report from the Department of Transport said it passed.
But it passed what? Gas?
Yeah. And then they attributed the rush of exceedances was attributed to nearby construction projects.
Right.
That is, to me, is bullshit.
Yeah, but, until they finish the 418 interchange there...
It gives them a perfect excuse.
Exactly. Until they finish it,
Yeah, it's an
they
excuse.
never have to actually come clean on what the issue is. It's much like the city of Oshawa.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as long as there's something else going on that they can blame it on, then they're happy, and they can keep the public relatively in the dark and keep the truth away.
It's that game of three-card Monte.
That's exactly what it
Yep,
is.
exactly.
It's good, though, that we continue to see the reports about it. The problem, though, is that we're seeing so many reports, and they always say the exact same thing. It's not our fault. It was the construction. People are becoming immune to the issue, and it's a serious health
Cry
and safety
wolf,
issue.
cry wolf, cry wolf, and eventually people don't come.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And
How many people
that-
run for car alarms right now?
Nobody.
Nobody cares.
Nobody.
No, because every car's got one, and every car alarm goes off.
Yep. Exactly.
There was a company one time, just off the topic, there's a company one time did a car alarm, and it wasn't really an alarm. If you broke in and took the car, you programmed it, and it would only go like about 4 miles.
Mhm.
The doors would lock, and the car would stop.
Yeah, I remember that one.
and they got lawsuits because people are trying to protect their own properties.
Yep. Yep.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Well,
that's like those cars that the cops use to try to grab people for stuff. As soon as they get in it, they got the cameras on, and the cars lock up,
Yep.
and they can't get away.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Ah, well.
Yep.
It is.
So, we got about 25 minutes left in this saga. I want to talk quickly about Trudeau. Trudeau.
Okay, that was enough attention to him. Thank you very much.
I agree with you, Jeff.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything longer than 3 seconds is way too long.
It bothers me. You know, he's the attack of a 7-year-old woman that questioned him, and the money being spent by the government to house these illegal immigrants, and his now reaction is that she's un-Canadian and racist. I have to call out that. I'm sorry. It's not racism, and it's not un-Canadian. I think what he's doing is un-Canadian and treasonous. And that's my 2 cents on it. I just think
Well, apparently you can't have an opinion unless it aligns with the government right now.
Well,
Well,
you
that's
can't,
the whole
that's
thing.
abortion and all that stuff. You can't get a job. You can't get federal funding unless you agree with everything that he says and does, right?
That kind of sounds like Brian Nicholson's campaign, too. You have to agree with him, otherwise you're not allowed on his page. You're not allowed to ask any questions.
What's that doing for the country?
Nothing. Like, it's not helping us one bit.
No, it's not.
2019 cannot come early enough.
Nope. And he announced that he's running again.
Yeah,
so
but he also announced that he isn't going to do a early election. Damn.
Well, no, he won't, because he knows the day after the election he's looking
gone.
for a new job.
Yeah.
Right.
And he doesn't qualify for full pension because he's only served one term.
He wants to go back to.
Technically, he's served 2. He served 1 year in the House of Commons and then 1 year as leader.
Yes,
Or,
but,
sorry, one term.
But I believe it is
6 years.
Is it 6
6
years?
years. 6 years.
Okay. Then
He gets his fucking pension. And as PM, he gets it anyway.
Plus
his severance.
He's looking for an acting job somewhere. So
well, he's also
he's got the acting down because
he's
you see
also
the
looking for
crocodile tears every time he goes into a mosque.
Yeah, he's also looking for a seat on the UN. So,
well, that ain't going to happen because he offended Saudi Arabia.
well, the thing is the UN can take him now and give him the seat, and we'll have another election.
But here Trump
that would be fine with me.
here Trump tweets the other day that they have a they have a agreement with Mexico, a trade agreement with Mexico.
Okay.
Yet they haven't even talked to Canada.
Nope. Canada wasn't even invited to the meeting.
That's right. So, here we were watching trade deals fall like House of Cards all over the place. Yet we're still sending our military equipment to Saudi Arabia, even though they've said we're stopped dealing with Canada.
I met this week with...
we're probably still sending them money, too.
Oh, I'm sure we are.
Yes, absolutely.
Even though they pulled all their
probably.
money and students and everything else out of Canada.
Yeah, I met with a candidate for Ward 2 this week, George Gus Malash.
Gus.
And Gus brought up an interesting point. On the 22nd of October, when we vote for our new municipal council, that's a week after pot becomes decriminalized, legalized, or
It's
whatever.
not going to happen, by the way.
Well, the question is, will people even bother to go out, or will they all be too stoned and forget that there's even an election going on, or, this whole legalization of pot and
It's
everything
not
there.
legal, it's decriminalization.
Yes, that's the proper term for it. You're right.
Yeah.
But
And it's for personal use only, because if you sell it and you face even increased jail time.
yeah, it's just another screw up.
And going back to what Mike started the show off, reminds me, 5 years and all that stuff, I get it. But they'll never let it happen because it costs too much money to keep somebody incarcerated.
Yeah, this is true too.
Well, that's true.
That's
That's why you get early release programs, time and a half served for wait time and all that before pretrial time. all that is to shorten your sentence because they don't want you in jail because it costs too much money to keep you in jail.
Yeah, but it would
What's it
increase
cost
the
to keep somebody in
jobs,
jail now? Do you
lower the unemployment? It's about $1 million a year.
But see, if they actually made them work, you know,
Well, no, you can't do that.
chain gangs. I
You,
mean,
you
they work
cannot.
in-
You cannot
put
do
them in
that.
pink. Put them in pink. Fucking.
Oh, now you're
jumpsuits.
going to the guy down in Arkansas.
Yeah.
And you can't do that.
With pink underwear.
You cannot do that because that is
Might
against their rights to do squat all day.
Menial labor.
No, that's against their rights to collect money. Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about welfare.
But you know that's one of the reasons why they do that. But I don't. You know, you're right.
Yeah.
It's just.
You know, before we went on our commercial break, Howard had sent us an email, and thank you for your email, Howard, but I wanted to pick on one little point that you made in there. You said that the money for the job is too much. I don't believe that our mayor's salary is too much. I believe that to get a qualified person, we need to pay a reasonable salary. Unfortunately, in this particular instance, we don't have a quality person there, so the money is too much for the person that's in there right now. It's not too much for the position if it's a proper person.
The truth of the matter is that Henry made just a shade more than Chapman did.
Yep.
Just a shade.
Just a shade.
Because Chapman made 142, and Mayor Henry makes 146.
And once again, I don't think those salaries are out of line for quality people, but in both of those instances, both of those you've given me, we've certainly overpaid for the quality of those
I have a
people.
problem with that. I agree by merit. But, I mean, that's what got us in trouble with the CEO of Hydro One.
Yep.
Oh, we have to pay for quality people. Why? He's running a public utility. Why do we need... I mean, granted, we need somebody at the top, but do we have to pay, $10 million a year for this idiot? When we got people that run hydroelectric programs across for each province. Quebec, guy makes $435.
Yeah, exactly.
And Saskatchewan, I think it's 260 or something.
It's less than 3.
Yeah. So you got these CEOs, and yet,
that's a province wide.
Yes.
But exactly, it's a problem. But here we got the highest rates in Canada. Okay, we got smart meters that don't work. We have a debt that we paid over with the debt repayment by billions of dollars, and yet our hydro rates continue to go up. Then they did the Green Energy Act, which further sunk us in the toilet, subsidized wind farms and frickin' solar power with no return.
And then you have to remember they split the old Ontario Hydro so that we had the OPG and Hydro One. So we actually are now paying 2 CEOs as opposed to just one.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it just doubled down, and just kept going. And you talk about CAOs, Mike.
Yeah, and
See, we're getting there.
the incompetent past his due date, Gary Cubitt, has announced that the region is starting to look for a CAO, and they're interviewing this month. So,
and the group that sits on the interviewing committee are primarily regional councillors that aren't running in this coming election.
right. So
they have no vested interest, so to speak, in it.
No.
They're pushing to hire the CAO before the new council gets elected. Rumor is they've already got a short list of candidates, and they've more or less already decided who's going to get the job.
Of course, they always do.
Exactly.
God forbid I should put my name in for the job. I'm aptly qualified.
Well, if you're not, but you're well enough liked, maybe Mayor Henry. Mayor Henry would change the qualifications, much like he did for the city manager's job here in Oshawa, because Jag Sharma didn't suit the qualifications. He wasn't eligible for the job until they changed the criteria, and they had to make the job then eligible for Sharma. And that, of course, was just a thank you for doing the business case for the 199 Wentworth Street Works Depot 6 months after the fact.
Yeah.
But that's all it was. So,
But what good's hiring the new CAO now, a month before the election, 2 months before the election?
Because Cubitt's retiring. He
Oh,
needs replacement,
I know he's retiring.
Yeah.
So why not leave the post vacant and let the new regional council?
Exactly.
what did we have? 3 interim city managers before we finally changed the qualifications so that they could give it to Sharma?
Yeah.
Wow, the one guy, he absolutely lost his mind. 11 months in, and said, this is a joke. I
Yeah.
got to get the hell out of here. And wrote a scathing report.
Absolutely.
About how badly the city of Oshawa's in the situation was, and how staff was left without guidance and was operating completely outside of what their job descriptions were.
And he told staff, like, just show up. Just show up to work, please. And that tells you something right there. Like, our staff aren't even there. They're getting paid for it, but they're not even there.
Look at the ones with the water trucks watering plants in the pouring rain.
Yeah. But there's fertilizer in that water.
Because it seems to me that Mother Nature did a hell of a lot better job than the city of Oshawa has been doing for years. But again, they're doing it because they probably have been told that that's their job. You go do it.
Yeah.
Instead of giving them some other task to do.
Exactly.
It's like
that's not wasting resources.
The inmates are running the asylum.
Oh, absolutely.
No question about it.
Yep.
Well, what they need is a serious house cleaning. They need somebody with the courage and the guts to sit there and say, we're not conducting our business this way anymore. This is a new day, a new era for the city of Oshawa, and we are now cleaning house and do very much like Brampton had to do. Wiped out 25 managers right off the hop, put a scare in everybody, said ship up or, shape up or ship out, and then after 6 months did another reevaluation and canned another 20.
Exactly.
They've also got to do it with all the budgets and stuff too.
Oh,
Let's
sure.
go through the budgets.
Yeah. And that's why we have to start asking our candidates.
Yes.
Where's your platform?
Yeah.
What are you planning to do and how?
Yeah. Well, the other thing is get control over all the transportation.
Yeah.
One of the questions that will be asked to every candidate that I interview, the first question will be, where's your platform? I want to see your platform.
Yes.
Well,
exactly.
I've asked everyone that's coming on to bring a platform with them.
Excellent.
But Mike, we can give them a chair. They don't have to bring their own platform to stand on.
Yeah, but some of them need a platform because they're
Are
too short.
they too short?
Yeah.
See, for me, Mike, and I know that we talk amongst ourselves, and one of the things that we all agree on is that one of the key things that has to happen in the next term is something's got to happen with the development down at the waterfront.
Yep.
They can't sit on their hands about this anymore.
No, definitely not.
They should put an RIP in, request for proposals, RFP, and see if they can market it to a developer, where the city retains ownership of the property, but the developer has thing, and it's a 3P, private public partnership.
Right.
One of the two options be put forward, and they develop the waterfront. As I said, for my money, you have to start generating tourism dollars somehow, some way in Oshawa. We have Lakeview Park. It's a beautiful entity. I think they should bring back barbecuing there. I think that, sure, there has to be some sort of policing, but,
Don't we have municipal bylaw for that?
Well, they
but
go
that's
to try to shut other people down.
yeah.
But that's the thing, though, Mike, is and I understand the point you're making, Lou. We have all these resources available to us, but they're not being directed in the right
they're not.
places.
Yeah, but I mean, affordable housing, our concession stands. Let's start upkeeping our properties, and stop letting them fall into disarray. Stop letting them become, condemned and
But
unusable.
shouldn't that money already be in the budget, though?
But that's what I'm saying. We got to be practical about what we're doing. love him, hate him, promise made is a promise kept is Ford's mantra right now. And he's lopping off, this was my platform, this is it, with the exception of the City of Toronto
The City of
Act, or
Toronto.
the reducing the council. But, he was in that council. He knew how hard it was to get anything through with 47 people, and they wanted to expand it by 2 more.
47 different agendas, and
Yeah. Cutting it down to 25 saves money. And I mean, there's a solution to this, and nobody's talking about it. But they could have, subcommittees. They could have, a lower tier of government into the different areas that handle that. And then, the councillors that are tied to those specific wards and in that particular area then report to council. And so democracy is being kept moving, and the people are being represented.
But if you have those subcommittees and a reduced council that has to sit on all those committees, then all of a sudden they might have to work full-time hours to get their full-time paycheck.
Well, but that's why they're saying they're overworked now, and that's what their concern is that, well, we work far too much. Yeah, you work far too much, being invited out to this and that and the other thing, and going out to public appearances. Oh, I feel for you. You actually have to do work for your money.
Exactly.
God forbid.
we have the same issues here with the 5 and the 5 double dippers.
Yep.
We could
you
have
get
gotten away with 5.
10 people running in looking after 5 wards.
Yep.
That's crazy. That's
But but at least we have wards. Say what you want. We now have an identifiable person to specifically go to about our concerns in our specific neighborhoods. That much has changed, because this at-large shit, you weren't getting help from anybody unless they saw that it was a feather in their cap.
Yeah.
Amy England, climb on any social agenda that she could, because that was it. So anything that was social, she'd be running after it like a dog out in heat. It just can't happen. You have to be accountable.
Yeah, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but we do not need 2
No, we don't.
counselors, municipal counselors per ward.
For city.
I love per ward. Right now we have a municipal counselor and a municipal regional counselor.
Yeah.
Yep.
We need a regional counselor only and a municipal counselor per ward.
Yes.
You're
Yeah,
going to save money. You're going to get more things done, because you're not having 2 egos in the same ward trying to run their own agendas.
Yep, exactly.
The regional counselor keeps his fingers out of the municipal. The municipal counselor keeps his fingers out of the regional.
That's right. Well, folks, we're always talking about this, but if you happen to see a candidate, ask them the question. What's your platform? How transparent are you going to be? What are you going to do about the overspending? What are you going to do about the staff that's running the city instead of the city running the staff? That's questions you have to ask before this election. Without a word. That's the main questions.
You can't be an informed voter if you don't ask the questions and if they don't give you the answers. But if you don't force them by asking those questions, then they're not going to bother to have any kind of a platform. They're just going to be the same kind of politicians that we have now, who will tell you whatever you want to hear. Then they will kiss your ass in order to get elected so that they can get that paycheck. And if they're not ready, willing, and capable of doing the job properly, we shouldn't be electing them.
And when you go to vote as well, and you get that sheet, and municipal elections is the worst thing to vote for, because all you get is a whole pile of names.
Yep.
You don't have to vote for every ward. Vote for your ward. Vote for the person you feel.
Well, you will only vote for your ward this time
Now.
around. In the new one.
Yeah.
You will
But
only
you don't
vote.
have to vote for both counselors.
No.
If
don't
you
have to.
only want to put an X beside one person, don't
That's
just
right.
throw an X just because you feel obligated to do it.
Exactly. That's how
And
a
you
lot
don't have to put an X down beside anybody's name.
No.
Exactly. That's how a lot of our current councillors got elected in the past was because of the name recognition,
Yes.
and people thought that they had
Popularity
to
contest,
they
too.
had to make all of those X's. No, you didn't have to make all of those X's. So a lot of people actually got elected because they were not a first or a second choice for somebody. They were a sixth or a seventh
Yes.
choice.
Yep.
And that actually got them elected.
Yep.
So we need to be smart, and we need to vote for the people who are going to do the best job for us.
And the problem I have with the mayorally slate right now is, and nobody's ever come to prove that they're going to be better than what we've got. Unfortunately, and we know with Dan Carter, he's not going to be any different than John Henry.
Absolutely not.
Ken Carruthers, who has apparently just been picked up for drunk and disorderly and charged with assault. Adam Coons is the only one that I understand who is making some headways and asking questions, which is fine. But if he's elected, he's got to have the balls to stand up and say, okay, I'm the mayor. This is what's going to happen.
Right.
Council, this is what's happening. Staff, you have to come back. Your managers have to come back. Tell me what's happening in your departments. And I'll look at if there's too many people, we start trimming.
Yep.
That has to happen because this city, folks, is bankrupt. No matter how you look at it, we are bankrupt. Look at the infrastructures that we have. Are garbage.
Yep.
They need redoing. We can't afford it. But you need somebody at the helm to say, okay, this is what's going to happen, and this is the way it has to happen.
We need to stop. We need to stop. How do I say that properly? We need to leave some of our city staff right where they are. We need to stop promoting them just for the sake of promotions, for what they've done for council or whatever. If they're not competent, they're not competent.
You have to put the right people in the right places for
That's
the
right.
right reasons.
Sure.
Right.
Not just because they've served 25 years
Exactly.
in a department that they need to be made foreman or supervisor
Or
or
commissioner,
department head or commissioner
yeah,
or whatever.
God,
Exactly.
That's me in trouble.
No, but you need to have the right person
Right.
leading the rest of the group.
Yep.
And as Mike just said, that starts at the top
Yeah, but
all the way down.
Sometimes, though, the right people are the ones that grow into the position.
Sometimes,
they're,
yes.
They're not always aptly qualified. They don't have the certificates or the documentation to support it, but they do have those qualities that make good leadership. They do have those qualities to see efficiencies and so on and so forth. And they can be an asset. The problem is that you have to have people within your corporation to identify those people.
Right.
And then promoting from within is not a bad thing.
No.
But
If they deserve to be promoted.
exactly.
If it's done properly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's what, I don't disagree with you, Dave. You just don't do it for the sake of doing it.
No, exactly.
But if you do it with the right things, qualifications are so much, do count for something, but they don't always count for everything. And I mean, I'm talking from personal experience here. I don't have the certificates and all that stuff to do.
You don't need certificates to be the right person for the right job at the right time.
Yeah, but my employer, he saw something in me and gave me the opportunity to use it. And I've excelled.
But Jake Sharma was not the person.
No, he
for
wasn't,
city manager.
and he's still not the right person.
Visha Sudko, former lawyer, is not the right person for human resources.
She's not qualified for that.
And like we can go through the list at the city of Oshawa that way, and that's why we need somebody at the helm that can actually get these things done for us.
Okay, parting shots.
Parting shots. That's an interesting one because I am departing for a little bit of a vacation, a little bit of a holiday.
What?
And so I'll be missing from the radio show for an
A
undetermined amount of
month
time.
or better.
An undetermined amount of time. So I'll be listening in.
So your
and
parole officer finally caught you.
something like that.
Yeah.
I'll be
They
listening
always
in,
revoked.
the odd phone call, email, etc., etc. And I wish you guys all the best while I'm gone. I know you got some good guests coming in, and looking forward to that. So thanks, and see y'all later.
Have a good vacation.
Have a good
Thank
You
you.
know my address,
Yes.
and I'm expecting at least one lobster per week.
One per
Yep,
week.
One per
One
week.
per
Okay,
week.
I'll send you a picture of the one I eat for
No.
you each week.
No,
How's that?
I did not say that. I'm expecting one lobster per week.
Uh,
It's not going in you, it's going in me.
you're expecting, but you're not entitled?
No. Not entitled, but I will be offended, and I'll have to go to my safe corner if it does not arrive.
Okay, all right.
Thanks to all our write-ins today. Please have your questions ready for the next few weeks for all of the candidates coming in. And please, people, get out and vote. Get yourself informed and get out and vote. Get it to the point where everybody is informed.
From me, this is we have gotten through the provincial election, the municipal elections, the level of government that's closest to us. The city of Oshawa is in dire need of new leadership, and this is one of the few times that I'd say a wholesale change would be to the benefit of the people of Oshawa. So get educated, as Dave said, and ask the right questions. Don't be afraid to ask the questions that can enlighten you into what the challenges are ahead for the city of Oshawa. For all those that can and will, go to AutoFest this weekend to the Oshawa Car Club that puts this event on every year. This is a huge event for the city of Oshawa. It brings in millions of dollars each year to the city. It's one of the few events that is a true tourism draw, and they have some beautiful classic cars down there. It's a great way to spend a Saturday or Sunday, and it's 25 years old.
25 years this year.
Yeah. So I will be down there so I can heckle John while he's on stage. And, I will be there to stand against the bylaw officers that come in to harass the vendors and that have rightfully put themselves in that event. So until next time, take care. Be safe.
Next week, ladies and gentlemen, I have Kathy Clark coming on. She's running for regional chair. Not regional chair, I'm sorry, regional council.
Yep.
And have your questions ready. Email us. Email us ahead of time, too. I mean, we'll accept those emails. And have some pertinent questions. I know I have, and I know Dave will, and wherever. Oh, he's missing again.
He's gone.
He's gone. Anyway, I know Blue will. And get those questions ready because every week we will have a different guest. September 6th, we'll have John Gray. And September 13th, I've got Tito. Ask them the right questions. Don't be kind to them. Be forceful and say, what's your platform? And ask the question.
And we know our listeners can do it because when John Mutton's been here, there's been some zingers. Like right off the top, every night when John was here, he got a zinger right off the top every night. And so we know that our listeners can do it. We know that our listeners are engaged, and we want to make sure that they engage these candidates as well.
And, John Henry, I know that your cronies are listening. I challenge you to come on this show to talk to me. And if you don't want the rest of the guys here, they won't be here.
We've gladly said that if John wants to come in, we will not come in.
So all you got to do is email me at Oshawa Today at bell.net. and I'll certainly talk to you.
Open up your wife's purse and remove that pair of anyway.
Yes. Anyway, thank you for listening, folks. Gary, thank you for everything.
You're welcome, Mike.
Ladies and gentlemen, look after your fellow man. Good night, and God bless.
Thank you for listening to Oshawa Today with your host, Mike Kalenko, right here on Reality Radio 101.